Hey everyone, Jessica Coulter here. I am the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring, and today we're going to be talking about the order of operations. So we're going to talk about PEMDAS and what that means, as well as go over some actual example problems so you can get some practice. Okay, let's talk about what PEMDAS is. Well, the first thing you need to know is how to remember this order of operations, PEMDAS. Well, what I always learned and what I still tell students about is the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." So each letter in that phrase represents an order of operations. So the first is the P, which means parentheses, E means exponents, M means multiplication, D means division, A means addition, and S means subtraction. So you could use a different phrase if you want to help you remember this acronym, but this is what works for me and has worked for lots of other students. So before we start looking at any example problems, there are a few important notes I want to go over. First, when we're going through these order of operations problems, you always do them left to right. So we just talked about how parentheses means P. Well, I am always going to do parentheses first if there are parentheses in the problem. So I always go left to right in the order of PEMDAS or the order of operations. Next, there are special rules if there are multiplication and division in a problem. So we'll see this when we get farther along in the video, but just know if there's multiplication and division, I'm going to go left to right. It doesn't matter what the order is of PEMDAS when it comes to multiplication and division. They're the same family, so we have to go left to right. Now, the same thing is true if I have addition and subtraction in a problem. I'm always going to go left to right no matter the order of PEMDAS or what is going on in the actual problem itself. All right, so at this point we have our definitions down. We know what PEMDAS means. We know what each letter stands for. Well, if you have a homework assignment or your child does, and you just want some help and want to get through it quickly and really get that one-on-one help you need or your child needs, we would love to work with you. Just go to the link here in the presentation, acecookietoutoring.com/book online to book a lesson. We would love to work with you online or in person, whatever fits your needs and also depends on your location. So now that we are ready for example 1, let's try out a problem together. So here we go. We'll start easy. 2 plus 9 times 10. So we've got to decide, are we going to do addition or multiplication first? Well, we've got to remember PEMDAS. We've got to remember our order of operations. So I want to do parentheses first, exponents, then multiplication, then division, then addition, then subtraction. Well, one way to do this, if you're new to PEMDAS problems or order operation problems, is to just go through and see what operations you really have. So let's go ahead and mark them off one by one. So parentheses, I do not have any parentheses, so I can go ahead and X that out. What about exponents? I don't have any exponents. Now here we go on to M, multiplication. I do have multiplication. So I'm going to need to make sure I do that before anything else. Okay, so I have 9 times 10 here. So that is going to be very important for me to figure out. Okay, so 9 times 10 is 90. Now I haven't done anything with that plus, with that addition yet. So I need to know what to do with that plus and that 2. So let's move on to the D. Well, I don't have any division, so I don't have to worry about that. Now it's time to do the addition. So I'm just going to keep that 2 plus around because I haven't done anything with it yet. And then I had that 90 that I got from 9 times 10. So I'm going to use that again. Well, now I have a problem that hopefully looks pretty familiar and pretty easy. I have 2 plus 90, which gives me 92. So the way I would have done this problem is multiplication first and addition second. Alrighty, let's move on to example number 2. I hope example number 1 went really well for you. If it didn't, I would highly recommend going back to the previous slide and re-listening and maybe even reworking that problem on your own before moving on to this example. But if you're ready, let's look at example number 2. So this one is 2 minus 4 squared. So this looks a little different than example number 1. I need to decide when I'm going to square that 4. I didn't have any exponents in the last one, so let's look at PEMDAS again and decide when I need to do exponents. So I'm going to have PEMDAS, and that is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's a really great way to remember it. So let's start. We have to go left to right. So do I have any parentheses? No, I don't. Okay, what about the e, the exponent? I definitely do. So I have to do that right away. So 4 squared is the same thing as 4 times 4, or you might also hear it called 4 to the power of 2. So when I do that, I'm going to get 16. Now I have this 2 minus over here. I haven't used it yet, so I need to figure out when I'm going to use that and how I'm going to use it. Well, let's jump to the next letter. That's an M for multiplication. No multiplication this time. Let's see, no division either. What about the A? Nope, no addition. So that leaves me with subtraction. So I have to keep the original problem in the same order. So I'm just going to bring over the 2 minus, and then I now know 4 squared is 16. So here's another problem that hopefully looks familiar. So I have 2 minus 16, which gives me a negative 14. So the takeaway here, I had to do 4 squared or 4 to the power of 2 first before I even worried about that subtraction sign. All right, we are through 2 example problems at this point. I hope you are feeling really confident and learning a lot. If you're looking for some more help, maybe some more resources for math or other classes, I would love to have you join our free Facebook group. The link's here in the video. It's facebook.com/groups/A's for students. So go to that link, answer a couple questions, and then you'll be in. So you'll get all sorts of great educational resources free of charge that you can use for your students that are in the 3rd grade and beyond, or even up through adults in college, graduate school. So hope to see you soon. All right, 2 more example problems to go through. These are going to involve more steps and are going to be more complicated. So only try example 3 and 4 when you've mastered example problems number 1 and 2. So here is example problem number 3. 3 times 10 plus 8 minus 4 squared. So just like always, we have to decide what operations we're doing and in what order we're going to do these. So I see multiplication, addition, and an exponent. So what am I going to do first? Well, I got to go back to PEMDAS just like always. So let's see if we can remember, guys. Here we go. I have PEMDAS. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I don't have any exponents this time. Excuse me, no parentheses. But I do have an exponent. So my problem now becomes 3 times 10 plus 8 minus, well, what's 4 squared, or 4 to the power of 2? Well, I think we learned that earlier in another example problem. So hopefully you remember. And it is 16. So I've got 3 times 10 plus 8 minus 16. So let's move on to our next letter, next operation. That would be M. Because remember, I'm doing PEMDAS left to right. So let's get that multiplication done because we have some right here. So 3 times 10 would be 30. So 30 plus 8 minus 16. Well, there we go. Looks like all we have left is addition and subtraction. So we talked about the special rule or that special note. We said we always have to do addition and subtraction left to right in the problem, no matter what order it is in PEMDAS or really what order it is in the problem. It just has to be left to right. Well, fortunately here it's really simple. It's the same order in the question or the problem as it is in PEMDAS. So I have 30 plus 8 minus 16, and that gives me 22. So to wrap it up for example number 3, I have to find what 4 squared is first, then I multiply, then I add. Alright, let's go ahead and work on example number 4. This one's going to be the hardest problem we do, and it's going to feature all of those rules and all of those operations we just talked about. So here we go. Example number 4. 2 squared minus 9 in parentheses divided by 10 minus 5 in parentheses times a negative 2. So take a moment to look at all those different operations and to make sure you know whether there are negative numbers and what to do, kind of refresh your memory and think about it. There is a side note up in this corner about negative numbers in case you don't remember. A negative number times a negative number is going to give me a positive number or a positive product. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and move on to actually solving this and thinking about our PEMDAS rules. So here we go. PEMDAS. PEMDAS. Well, I see some parentheses in this problem, which I haven't had in all my other examples. So let's go ahead and work those first. I'm going to have 2 times 2, or 2 squared, also in a parenthesis. So I kind of have to do both of those at the same time. So 2 squared gives me 4. So I'm going to have 4 minus 9, then divided by 10 minus 5, it's going to give me 5. And then I'm going to keep that times and then that negative 2. Well, I took care of the second set of parentheses. I simplified it, but that first set still has an operation in it because I had that exponent, so it's going to add an extra step. So let's go ahead and simplify that now. So I have 4 minus 9 gives me a negative 5, and then I just bring everything else down. So negative 5 divided by 5 times a negative 2. So now we have to think back to what we talked about at the very beginning of the presentation and how multiplication and division have special rules and have kind of a special note. Well, I'm always doing PEMDAS left to right, and then if I have multiplication and division in the same problem, I have to do that left to right as well because they're the same family. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do negative 5 divided by 5, which gives me a negative 1. And then I have times a negative 2. Well, if you need to, like we just talked about, here's that special rule. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. So my final answer for example number 4 is a positive 2. So what I had to remember here, the takeaway, was that parentheses come first. Well, thank you so much for watching this presentation on order of operations. I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed the video. Just know if you're still struggling and really want that one-on-one help, would love to work with you or your child, go to that link, acecookie-tutoring.com/book online to schedule a lesson. Now, if you're looking for some information about Ace Cookie Tutoring, you'd like to get on our email list and get our monthly newsletter, I would love to have you. Just send an email to acecookie-tutoring@gmail.com so I can get you our newest newsletter. And finally, don't forget to join my Facebook group. It's called Students Aiming for A's, and the link is in the bottom bullet, facebook.com/groups/A's for students. So be sure to join if you'd love to get some more free help, just like this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you soon.